Now, okay. Um, all right, we're rolling. So can you first start off by saying and spelling your name for me?
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Anderson, Michael Anderson.
Okay, wonderful. And your title, the title that you want us to use. I know you said immunologist, I think, and allergist. So,
Yeah, I'm a board certified allergy, asthma, immunology specialist.
okay, all right. And what is the name of your practice?
Anderson Allergy and Asthma.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so first off, tell me this idea about what happens to people's blood once they get infected with this virus.
Well, once somebody gets infected with the COVID-19, because it's a foreign substance virus, an antibody response is initiated. Um, because of differing levels of response, some people may get over the illness a lot easier than other people. But anyone that gets over the illness has remaining antibody that stays in their blood as a memory system. And those antibodies can be sourced out, they can be taken out of people very easily and given to people that are getting sick at that time. And they can give these people a head start so that they win the race against this virus.
Okay, and tell me more about these antibodies. What is an antibody? What causes its production? And then how does it work?
Okay. An antibody is a large protein, and I'm going to draw here that might help to illustrate this. When the virus enters into a cell, say this is the virus, when it goes into your body, this virus gets into the cells of your respiratory tract. When it's in those cells, it divides and replicates itself. So it makes multiple copies of itself that are then released into your respiratory tract, into the bloodstream, and into the air of your lungs and infects other cells. That's how this virus travels. When it's in the blood, it's going to be recognized by your immune system. And that part of your immune system, which is a certain type of a white blood cell, will start to produce antibodies against this virus. So the antibody looks like a Y. Once again, it's a very large molecule that has a three-dimensional shape. And this end of it will recognize like this, the coat or the outside membrane of the virus. So here it's recognizing over here, and then you'll have another part over here where the virus fits in there like a lock and a key. Once that happens, this end becomes like a red flag so that the immune cells in your body know that it needs to engulf this and destroy it. So the key is the production of these antibodies. So it's kind of a race. So while this thing is producing millions of these viruses in your lungs, your immune system is trying to produce millions of these antibodies. If this wins the race, then you succumb to the infection and you get sicker and sicker. If we can give you extra antibodies that someone else has already made, then you can get ahead of the race and you can get rid of these viral particles. So it's a huge advantage when you're getting sick if you can get a boost and get these antibodies that have been made by other people already.
Okay, and how do you do that? How do I get my antibodies safely to somebody else?
Well, what we need to do, and the reason that I contacted you initially, is we need to identify and let everybody know that's tested positive for COVID-19. Let them know that after they're better, they can give their blood, which means they go to a blood bank, make an appointment, go to a blood bank, they give their blood, the cells are given back to them. All they keep is the plasma. That's what contains the antibodies. So the idea of this interview, George, is to let people know that if they've had a positive test for COVID-19 and they're better, there's certain criteria that have to be met. They can't be people that have infections and things like that. But if they're able to donate blood and it's been 28 days since they were tested, then they're probably a source of these antibodies. So you can imagine there's literally hundreds of people in this county alone that could be giving life-saving plasma today. No further testing is needed. We don't have to wait on these tests to come out. The other thing that I thought of that's important here is that these antibodies are being produced in this area of the country by people that live here. So if there's a virus that mutates a little bit, which these viruses can do, then it's more likely that the antibodies produced locally will be effective for people that live in this same area. The other advantage is that this plasma treatment is used for, and has been used for all kinds of illnesses. So we know that it's very safe and it's completely natural.
Okay. And before you told me one person can treat 3 people. Is that correct?
The estimate is that one person could supply enough antibodies to treat 3 people, but that of course depends on how much antibody they have, how recently they were ill. Because over time, these antibodies do drop down, but it takes several months for them to go down to any significant level. So their estimate is 3 people, but that remains to be seen.
Okay. And then you were also saying, or the paper that you sent me, it says something like, this is very promising, but it's not certain. Can you comment the uncertainty with this? There's still a lot unknown with this virus. So can you comment so that we can responsibly address any uncertainty here?
Yeah. The uncertainty is basically that for this particular virus, this type of treatment hasn't been used that much. But for previous viruses of very similar nature, the SARS virus, this type of treatment was used successfully. The other thing is that it's really all we have. We have hydroxychloroquine, and that's being used and experimented with, but we really need to have hope. And I think this gives us hope that there's something safe out there that's available that we can use for a lot of people that are currently getting sick today. And I told you yesterday, and I'll say it again, if myself or a family member started to become ill where we needed to be hospitalized, I would definitely use this treatment on them or myself.
Okay. And then could you say one more time, so I have this in a way you're comfortable, that there may be other treatment options being developed, but this is the best thing we have right now?
I feel like this is the best thing, especially early on in an infection, when a person is still trying to make these antibodies. So when somebody gets sick and they develop enough shortness of breath and coughing to where the doctor feels they need to be admitted to the hospital, I think this would be the first treatment to go to.
Okay. All right. And that is, and then if we develop a vaccine, great, but this is kind of the best we have right now.
Yes. And
Okay.
actually, the vaccine won't be 100% foolproof.
Okay. Are there any problems with this that you could foresee, or any potential problems?
The main problem that I see right now, George, is that this treatment, we're going to realize the value of this treatment more and more as time goes on. And there's going to be a delay in getting these antibodies from people because there's steps that have to be gone through. People have to be screened for other infectious diseases. We have to get them to get blood, and all that's going to take time. So I think the most urgent thing now is to get people in contact with OneBlood or the blood banks so that they can arrange to go ahead and give the plasma, which can be frozen and stored and used for when this massive need happens.
Okay. And you said that the cases are growing. So that means the supply of these antibodies should be growing as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, I think there was roughly 200,000 people in the United States with positive COVID tests a month or more ago. So there's a pool out there in the country of maybe 200,000 people that could potentially supply these antibodies. So there's a large amount of this available for a large amount of illness that's getting ready to hit us right now.
Okay, one final question. What would you propose as far as effectively getting the maximum number of potential donors to blood banks when when things really start ramping up?
Yeah, that is a really good question. And I've thought about that. And I think that the best way to do that is to have the testing centers that have the registries of the patients that have been tested contact those patients with either by phone or text message or both, and give them a way where they can contact the blood banks and make an appointment to give their blood if they qualify.
Okay, and how does HIPAA kind of create barriers for this to happen?
I'm sorry?
HIPAA, how do HIPAA laws, how could they hinder things?
Yeah, the HIPAA laws are going to hinder the registries and the testing centers from giving information to the blood bank so that they can contact the people.
Okay, but the testing centers contacting the patients doesn't violate any HIPAA?
I don't believe so.
Okay, okay.
And if it
All right.
does, I don't think anybody's going to care.
Well, yeah. I know. I agree, but just had to ask that question. Okay, anything else?
Yeah. No, I just really appreciate you getting me on so we can get the word out and get this banking process started, so we
Okay.
can really, reduce the illness and the morbidity of this horrible illness.
Okay. And would you mind if can I call you a board? We just have limited space on our lower title bar. Can I call you a board certified immunologist or not?
You can.
Board certified immunologist. You're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. That'll fit, and I think that's the most appropriate.
Me too.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. What's your schedule like for the rest of the day?
I'm doing a lot of telemedicine today, and I'm seeing a few patients that need to come in, but I'm always available if you need anything, George.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to stop.